Welcome back to part 2
I'm still changing my mic. Hold on. Okay, you can start.
Welcome back to part 2 of What is Dungeons and Dragons. If you had listened to the part 1, that was just a conversation between me and Kurtis, my co-host.
That's me, the guy who was fixing his mic.
And I am Jake, also known as Jacob. You'll never know which one is real, which one is fake.
Jesse in some circles.
But if you didn't listen to that one, it probably would be best for you to go listen to that one, because we just kind of talk about the beauty of this game, and it kind of leads into this one. This one, I am going to be running a one-shot, a one-on-one one-shot, if you will, with my co-host, Kurtis.
That's me, the guy who was fixing his mic.
Yeah, we're going to break down Kurtis's character sheet. And again, we're not going to be like, this isn't how to play Dungeons and Dragons. We just kind of want this to be like, this is what it looks like. This is how it feels. Well, it's not really what it looks like because you're listening. This is how it feels. This is how it sounds when someone plays Dungeons and Dragons. This is just kind of a demonstration, if you will. Does that make sense, Kurtis?
That makes so much sense. Good job.
Thank you. So, Kurtis is going to break down his character sheet. We're not going to go into the nitty-gritty little details of like everything. I just want him to explain the stats that he chose and kind of just talk about his character, who he's going to be playing today. So I will turn it over to you, my friend.
Well, first thing you need to do when you're playing D&D is pop open a cold one.
With the boys.
You need some drinks and some
ladies.
snacks. You just gotta. It's what you gotta
It
do.
really should be in the rules. I think it actually is.
Please.
I feel like I've read that somewhere.
Please. Someone put it in the rules. Okay. So, today, I'm going to be playing a character by the name of Kobe Shadebinder.
I like it. Kobe.
I'm glad you like it. It was a randomized name. Kobe is a human and a fighter. So about as boring and normal as you can get right off the bat. But here's the thing, I'm trying to keep things simple.
Right.
And that is why I chose the particular subclass of fighter known as, wait for it,
I'm waiting for it.
the Eldritch Knight. This is actually the opposite of keeping it simple. It is one of the few subclasses of fighters that actually gets to cast spells and be a little more versatile in their fighting. So It makes it a little more interesting.
I wanted to basically be able to show two sides. You know, Dungeons and Dragons has 3 things you can fall into. You can be a martial class, which is like a fighter, or you can be a magic. Is that what's the term?
Sure, mage,
like a magic caster class. A caster. That's the word. So a martial class, a caster class, or a
half caster.
Exactly.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, a
Or
half caster.
Okay, yeah.
Which is, classes like what you're playing. So
Right.
you get to do a little bit of both.
Traditionally, fighter would be entirely martial, about as martial as you can get. Heavy armor, big weapons. You can wear any armor, use any weapon, all that kind of good stuff. But this gives them, they're more of a half caster, so they don't have like a full on crazy long spell list and a ton of opportunities to cast spells, but they just kind of use it to augment the way that they fight.
Correct.
And so for things like Ranger is also a half caster, or Paladin is also a half caster. These are classes that their focus is usually their fighting, but they kind of use their magic to complement their fighting.
Yeah. So just get a little bit of both worlds, so we can show that we're not actually casting spells.
Yeah, there are no summoning circles drawn
None.
on this table.
None whatsoever.
So we'll move over to ability scores. Every game you play, some games the DM will say, these are the numbers you get to put into your abilities. Some DMs will say you'll roll for your numbers to see what they are to put in your abilities. There's also a point buy system where you have a certain amount of points to spend, and the higher an ability goes, the more points it takes to add to it. And then there's also just the standard array, as it's called, which is basically D&D's standard ability scores that they think are kind of middle of the line, good for everyone to use. We're using a particular type of standard array, which is a little more diverse. The 6 ability scores are as follows. There's strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Fairly self-explanatory. Strength is the power of your body. Dexterity is your nimbleness. Constitution is the power of your will or your hardiness. Intelligence is how smart you are, obviously. Wisdom is how I guess kind of willful or understanding you are of the things around you. And charisma is essentially how well people like you, how influential you are as a personality. So as a fighter, strength is obviously very important. So I put a 17 into that. Constitution is also very important because that controls things like your health and how hard it is to get you sick and things like that. So I put a 15 in there. I put a 13 into intelligence because as that half caster, intelligence is what I'm going to be using to cast those spells. How smart I am is what determines how many spells I know and how hard it is for enemies to resist them. Mm-hmm. I put a 12 into dexterity because that will also help how quick I am in combat, how hard I am to hit. I put a 10 into wisdom because as a 10 is still kind of important for a lot of the skills that you're going to use, and we'll go into those later. Things like perception and knowing what the world is like around you. And I put an 8 into charisma because the way I think of it, this character is kind of a soldier type person. So they're not necessarily too worried about how they come across to other people.
Right. You don't really need to be persuasive when you're just following orders.
And intelligence isn't the only thing that certain classes will use to cast spells. There are other classes that use charisma to cast spells, mm-hmm. and other classes that use wisdom to cast spells. So all of those will be, every ability score will be more or less important depending on what class you're trying to play.
Correct.
And what kind of character you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because they all go into your skills and essentially your ability modifiers decides how much better you are at something, what kind of bonuses you get to add to the dice that you roll when you're trying to do things, when you're trying to accomplish something. Mm-hmm. So for example, intelligence, let's go with wisdom. Wisdom is your stat that will be used for something called perception. And perception is basically noticing things in the world around you, what you see, and right. How easily it is that you notice things. So if I'm trying to go look over the horizon and see if there's anyone following me or watching me, Jake might ask me to roll a perception check to see if I notice anything. So if my wisdom is high, there is a much better chance of that perception check succeeding because my right. wisdom will give me bonuses to mm-hmm. that check.
Mm-hmm. It's fun to note. It's fun to note. It is. Kurtis, you don't have your notes today, so I'm a little disappointed, but it's okay.
Sorry.
That there's not necessarily there is something that I do behind the screen. I set is what's called a DC. We call that I call it a dice check. I believe there's another term for it that I really can't remember, or difficulty check. That I think that's the rule.
Yeah,
is what it's called.
Difficulties. I think you're right. I think it's difficulty.
Difficulty check, which means I have a set number. So let's say pretty average is 12. They have to roll. So in this case of looking at the horizon to see if he sees anything, maybe I have a scout that's up at the horizon and he's not particularly sneaky. He's just looking. And so I'll have a number set of 12. And I'll say, all right, Kurtis, go ahead and roll me a perception check. He will roll his d20, add his particular skills, numbers to that roll. And if he gets a 12 or higher, then he'll see him. If he doesn't, then he kind of failed. But I really like to play off, well, maybe he doesn't actually see the person. Maybe he just sees a glint, like a shine from like spectacles or a telescope or something like that.
Like if I got an 8 or a 10, that's not necessarily a wholehearted failure. I still rolled fairly well. So maybe I won't like fully see that there's a dude there, but I might notice that there's something over there.
Something's there. You see a glimmer of light, and then it's up to Kurtis on, or in this case, Kobe, on what he will do. Will he go investigate or just think it's a reflection of something in the dirt and just not care? It's up to him.
Yeah, and if I rolled like a 2 or a 3, then that might be a total failure, and
a bug just flew in your eye.
Yeah, we might say something like something distracted me, or I just didn't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that can be applied to many different things because skills vary. You know, there's another one called investigation, which instead of using your wisdom, that one uses your intelligence because now you're getting in the dirt or you're actually using your hands and getting involved and trying to put clues together. So that's a little bit different.
Yeah.
There's a long list and we're not going to go through all of them. We're just here to
We'll talk a little bit about it if it comes up. If he tells me to roll a history check, we're not just going to say what I get and then he'll explain. We'll talk a little bit about
exactly
what a history check is and why he asked me to roll that thing. But
okay. So
again, this is not a how to play D&D. This is what playing D&D looks like,
or sounds like,
feels like,
yes.
Like. Do you feel it? Can you feel it now?
Can you feel it now? All right.
Just the last quick thing I wanted to go through is
for it.
Equipment.
Oh, yeah.
Because
every person has stuff.
Every adventurer needs their equipment. So as a fighter, obviously I wear some pretty hefty armor. So I start with things like chainmail and a long sword and a shield and things like rope and clothes and crowbars and just random things like that. Depending on what you play, your equipment will be different. So for the sake of this, Kobe is wearing chainmail. His weapon is a long sword, and he holds a shield in his offhand. So
perfect. And we'll get to a little bit more details when we get into game. But yeah, I think with that, we can get on with this one shot. Shall we, Kurtis?
I think we shall, Jake.
Okay. It is a cold afternoon. Kobe, you have been walking for several hours with a caravan. The caravan is coming from a recently discovered excavation site that, within the past few months, has found very old artifacts. Now, you being the person that you are, you're more of a bodyguard. You've been guarding this site for a few months now, and now they need to take a bunch of these items and artifacts that they have found to the capital city of Andel. It's going to be a couple weeks' journey to get back there, and the road could be fairly dangerous. So you, yourself, along with a few other guards, are keeping track of the horizon. It is pretty cold. You lift your hands to warm them as you see your breath kind of coming in front of your face. You look up and you see and hear a screech from your very nice pet. Would you like to explain your familiar to myself,
Yeah,
to the audience?
Yeah, I would love to. So as a half caster, one of the spells I've chosen is called Find Familiar. And essentially this gives me a magical pet that I can keep with me and give commands, and have it do fun and interesting things. So my pet is a what is called a bloodhawk. Essentially what you would think, basically like a red-tailed hawk or something like that. Celestial, we'll say.
Nice.
Which means it's sort of a from the angelic realms. Yeah, and with that familiar, I can have it do things like help me. I can have it watch over me or keep track of my surroundings. It's especially helpful to have it be something that can, like fly around, because that gives you a good vantage point and stuff like that. But you can also change its form. You can, if I wanted to, I could recast the spell and have it turn into something like a spider, so that it could crawl through some doorways and let me know what's on the other side and things like that. So, yeah.
There you go. Do you have a name for your bloodhawk?
Ooh, let's call him Kanto.
Kanto. You look up and you see Kanto flying above you. Actually, you wouldn't be able to see him very well on a cloudy day.
Well, it depends on how high he is.
Okay. How high is he?
Not very high.
Not very high. So you can keep an eye on him.
Around the tops of the trees.
Somewhere around the tops of the trees as he soars over you. He's maybe eyeing a couple smaller birds that look a little bit tasty. There is about a dozen wagons in this caravan, all carrying artifacts from a long distant age, scrolls, but most of these items don't really concern you. You have been told specifically that the very center wagon holds something of incredible value, and that's the one that you need to keep safe from anything that happens. Now, there are a few other guards along with you. There's Sebastian to your right. Now, you've known him for a little bit, and he sees you kind of eye him for a second and gives you a nod as he continues to walk alongside the wagons. There's Isabella, who's behind you. She's fairly new. She hasn't been here maybe more than a week before getting selected to go on this journey. Those are the two that are closest to you. There are a few in the front and the back.
What was the name of the first one again?
Sebastian.
Sebastian.
Sebastian and Isabella. Now, you've been walking for most of the day. Your feet are a little bit sore at this point, but you are pretty used to this at being a soldier. You're used to the long marches. Is there anything that you would like to do specifically?
Can I just have Kanto just take a real good look around and just double check there's no danger around us?
You certainly can.
Any unwanted other travelers?
Of course. Go ahead and give me a wisdom perception check through the eyes of Kanto.
Now, as a hawk, he has something called keen sight, which gives him advantage on perception checks that rely on sight.
Advantage means Kurtis gets to roll his d20, which is the main dice at Dungeons and Dragons. And he gets to pick the higher of the number of the two that he rolled. Typically, you only roll once, but in this case, you get to roll twice. Pick the higher.
So the first roll was a 12, second was an 11, so I'm going to do the 12 plus his perception skill is plus 4.
Nice.
So that's a 16
16.
total.
Nice. So that's a pretty good roll. Even though it's a cloudy day, with his hawk eyes, he does get a pretty good look around. It's all pretty quiet as far as he can tell. There's some wildlife that he has also noticed kind of throughout the wood. As you are kind of walking on this long stone road, you're keeping to the roads for the most part, as they tend to be a little bit safer little bit more patrolled. After probably another 30 minutes go by of you walking, you feel something land on your shoulder, and you kind of glance up, and it's Kinto, and he gives you kind of a little nod in a certain direction. It's off to your left. And he kind of mentally communicates to you that he has seen something that's out of the ordinary off to the left.
I'm traveling on the right side of this wagon while we're moving down the road?
Correct. So to the left is kind of, on either side is woods, but actually the left side is a little bit thicker of wood.
Okay. Can I, I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look back at Sebastian. He's behind me or ahead of me?
Sebastian is to your left. Isabella's behind you.
To my right, you mean?
Correct. To your right.
Okay. I just saw you point that way and then say left.
Yeah.
So, okay. I'm going to turn to Sebastian, and I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to say, hey, my little friend here is saying there's some weird stuff going on the other side of the road. You mind keeping a watch while I go check it out?
He kind of looks at you and gives you a nod. That bird got into my stuff last night. I don't like it. But sure, I'll watch.
Well,
I'll watch your back.
He's a little feisty, so don't worry, I'll reprimand him.
All right. He gives a little hand signal to Isabella, who notices as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right.
And then I'm gonna do my best to kind of jog, get ahead of the cart, and then move to the other side of the road. And
Okay.
see what I can see.
Go for it. Yeah. Are you going stealthily or anything like that? Or are you just gonna?
No, but I'm also not making a big fuss of it. I don't want to look like I'm freaked out about something.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a perception.
Okay. Now for me, I do not have that advantage because I'm just a normal old person. So, ooh. Okay, so that's a 3 on the die. And being that I have a 10 in my wisdom, that means my perception bonus is 0. But I am proficient.
Okay.
In perception, so that gives me a +2. So that's only a 5.
A 5. Okay. So you kind of trip a little bit getting off the road and onto the kind of unstable ground. And there was an old log that was buried underneath some leaves. And so you kind of trip a little bit. That kind of distracts you. But you continue moving forward. You don't really see anything, but Kinto keeps nodding like you're heading in the right direction.
I'm gonna look into the woods, and I'm gonna call out, and I'm gonna say, excuse me.
Right when you say that, you hear "They've spotted us!" and
Oh boy,
a fire ball.
Oh.
It's not actually the spell fireball. It's just
ball of fire.
This ball of fire comes whizzing past your head and strikes the wagon that's actually behind you. And you hear Sebastian and Isabella call out. I'm going to need you to roll for initiative, Kurtis. So
Fantastic.
Initiative, how Dungeons and Dragons work is it's a turn-based game. So instead of everyone going at the same time, we have to take turns.
Ooh.
Technically speaking, in quote-unquote real time, from your turn to your turn again is about 6 seconds in real time.
So one whole turn of everything you're going to do in that turn should only take, in real time, 6 seconds for your character to do.
Right. But it's very chaotic for the dungeon master to try and track. I mean, in this case, it's just Kurtis. So it's really not very difficult. But when you have a table of 4, 5, 6 players, you can't have them all go at once. They have to take turns. But in the game terms, it's all happening roughly at the same time.
The same 6 seconds. Yep.
So,
and basically, every person getting a turn and then going back up to the first person again is one round, is what it's called. So each round takes about 6 seconds.
yeah. All right. So what did you get on your initiative, Kurtis?
I rolled a 17.
Oh, nice.
And because of my +1 to my dexterity, that goes into my initiative. So that's an 18 total.
All right. So you definitely go first as I rolled a 6. So you definitely go first. The moment that little bolt of fire went whizzing over your head and strikes the wagon, you now lock eyes on this. Looks like a man who's in these dark robes, and he had just casted this spell that maybe missed you. Maybe he was aiming for the wagon. It's kind of hard to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of along with that, you kind of glance around and you hear these shouts as maybe 24 people come rushing out of the forest, attacking the caravan. But you are the first one to go. What are you going to do?
How far is that man from me? That
He's about
tossed the
20 feet away from you.
20 feet away. Okay. I would like to... I think the one thing that I overlooked a little bit is bonus actions. Don't have a lot of those. But that's okay. I'm going to move forward into the woods a little more, about 5-10 feet, and I'm going to raise up. First I'm going to draw my weapons. Of course.
You do.
So I pull my shield out, pull my sword out. I'm going to move forward a bit, and I'm going to raise my shield arm, and I am going to cast lightning lure at this
man. Okay.
So this sort of whip almost of bright lightning energy extends out from my hand towards him, and he needs to make a strength saving throw.
I got an 8. So that is a failure probably to your DC, correct?
Mm-hmm. So my DC, which is determined by my intelligence and my all that other stuff, you would have had to roll higher than roll a 13 or higher to beat my spell DC.
And I failed. So he gets struck with this lightning lure.
Mm-hmm. And so he's going to take some damage. And then the other effect of the spell is that he gets pulled up to 10 feet towards me.
Great.
So he lands right in front of me, and then he's going to take 2 lightning damage.
Great.
That was 1d8 lightning
So
damage.
you let loose this energy that strikes him and wraps around him. He lets out a cry, as you pull him magically towards you. And he lands right in front of you as the shock kind of goes through him. Is that in your turn?
Yeah, I think it's going to have to.
All right, that's going to be the wizard's turn. As he pulls out this dagger now that he's right in front of you, and he kind of casts this energy on the blade, and he's going to make an attack at you.
Okay.
That's a 4 plus 4. So that's going to be an 8 to hit you.
That is definitely not going to hit it with, as a fighter with all my heavy armor, including the shield and my defense bonus. My AC is actually a 19.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I should have thought of this. I should have thought, oh, man, Curtis is going to be a fighter. But that's okay. He strikes at you with this dagger that has this energy on it, but he can't get past your shield as you just managed to pull it up in time, and the dagger glances off. That ends his turn, and all around you, shouts start happening. There is battle. There's the sounds of shields and swords clashing against each other, the sound of arrows whizzing overhead, even fire and lightning as it crashes all around you. You kind of hear a cry, and you just glance over your shoulder as you block that dagger. You see Sebastian has been struck by a bolt, looks like from a crossbow. It's kind of in his shoulder. He's gonna kind of falls back on the wagon, and he calls out at you, "Kobe, protect the wagon!"
Okay. I just forgot this is entirely my fault. I did not roll a initiative for Kanto.
Oh, that's okay. He can go
so
now.
he'll go on this round.
Sure.
So he'll be after me.
Great.
Okay. I will turn back towards the wagon and kind of glance back at this mage sort of figure.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, boy. Gosh. Okay. I think I'm gonna have to turn around and rush back to the wagon.
Okay. So, what that means Kobe is leaving the area of the attack area of the wizard that's in front of him. So he gets an attack of opportunity, which is a reaction with his dagger. And that's going to be an 11. So that misses you again.
It does.
As it glances off the back of your armor, doesn't pierce all the way through.
Wizards not actually that great at using daggers.
I mean, it's just kind of how the dice roll, I guess.
Yeah.
But you make it back to the wagon. You see Sebastian there holding kind of his shoulder with this bolt pretty deep in. Kind of right when you get there, you kind of see someone leaping on top of the wagon.
Mm-hmm.
As it all seems to happen so fast, as everyone has rushed out of the woods, it seems to be they were on the other side as well. What are you doing?
So one of the enemies is leaping on top of the wagon?
You don't recognize the person. This one looks to be in kind of dark leather armor, so not robes, but you don't recognize him. He doesn't have any sort of crests on him or anything like that.
Do I have enough movement to try and follow him up there? I think I was only about 15 feet out into the...
That's right. Yeah, you would. I would say sure.
Okay.
The wagons are almost built a little bit for you to be able to give up on
hop
top.
On.
So.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to hop on behind that guy, and I'm going to take a swing at him with my sword.
Go for it.
So let's see here. I have a +6 to hit. So... Ooh. It teetered on a 19.
Bummer.
Landed on a 3. So that's 9.
That's not going to hit. As you jump up, part of the wagon kind of breaks off from your weight as you're pretty heavy in all this armor. And it kind of loses your footing a little bit. So when you strike, it's not quite as hard as you wanted it to be and not quite as precise. So he's able to easily dodge around it.
Okay.
All right. Kento will go after them. So the wizard that is behind you, he's going to sheath his dagger away and kind of start circling his hands, and he's going to let loose a firebolt at you.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a natural 19 plus 5. So that's going to be a 24 to hit you.
24 would hit. I think what I might do is cast Absorb Elements.
Okay.
As my reaction. So, yeah, go ahead and roll your damage.
Okay. That's going to be 6 fire damage.
Okay, so what Absorb Elements does is I can react to getting hit by some sort of elemental damage, and the spell will absorb half of it. It makes me resistant to that element. And then, so that means I'm only taking 3 damage.
Because it halves it.
And then the next time I hit someone with my weapon, it will do damage of that type on it. So I kind of
spell.
Absorb the damage and get to redirect it in a way.
Great.
Whoops,
all right.
Not 30 damage, 3 damage.
Oof. So, yes. So this firebolt comes soaring at you, and you just manage to hear him start casting this spell. And you manage to quickly cast your own as it strikes you, kind of gets through your armor just a little bit, singes your beard, but you manage to absorb it into your sword, and it even starts having a little bit of fire kind of etch along your sword.
I'm now at 33 of 36 hit points.
All right. Perfect. This leather armored person in front of you, he's going to pull out a short sword, and he takes a strike at you.
Great.
Ooh, that's going to be a 8 to hit you. So
not going to do it.
The wagon kind of
natural 3 on the die there.
Hits a bump, and it he loses his footing, and he's not able to come completely down at you. You're able to keep your shield in front of you.
Great.
What is Kinto doing?
He is going to take flight off of my shoulder, and he's gonna sort of fly past this guy right in front of his face, kind of turn and just kind of claw at his face a bit, and he's gonna use the help action to kind of distract him for a moment, that I might be able to have advantage on my next attack.
Perfect. So yeah, he does so, and the guy kind of lets out a cry as one of the claws kind of clawed him across the eyebrow. All right, that is going to be the end of his turn.
My go?
Yeah, top of the round. It's to you.
Okay.
All about you. Battle is still happening. In fact, you kind of glance down and you see that someone is rushing at Sebastian.
Okay, I'm going to take another longsword attack at this guy in front of me, this time with advantage. That's good. First one's an 11, second one's an 8, so 11 plus 6 is 17.
That's going to hit him, yes. You strike him clean on the shoulder, and it kind of slashes across his chest.
Great. So my longsword does a d8 damage plus 4, and including the extra fire damage from my spell, is another d6. Ooh, nice. So that's 16 damage.
Yeah. So you spin around, thrust off his short sword that just glanced off your shield, and you cut him clean from the shoulder across the chest. He lets out a cry, and he falls off the back of the wagon, and you hear a thick thud as it hits the ground. Nice.
Sweet.
All right.
I am now going to... Still don't have any good bonus actions. I'm going to turn towards the man running at Sebastian.
Okay.
And while I'm still on the cart, tell me if... is he within 15 feet of me?
Yeah, you're just right on top. Sebastian's down below you, so he's pretty close.
I think I'm gonna cast another, so I'm gonna action surge right here.
Gotcha.
Which is a fighter feature that basically it's kind of flavored as adrenaline kicking in, and I get to use another action on my turn instead of only one action. So I'm gonna use that to, since I haven't cast any spells or anything, I'm gonna use that to cast Lightning Lure and try and pull him along with me and
Perfect.
pull him up towards me.
Okay. So that's going to be another
away.
strength saving throw from him, correct?
Yes.
All right. That's going to be a 14.
Ooh, so he succeeds,
All
actually.
right.
So that does nothing. Wow.
So you lash out with this, and he kind of has spotted you, seeing you climb up there, begins with. So he actually stops and braces himself for this spell that you just casted.
Okay. Bummer. What a waste of an action surge.
Hey, that's all right.
In that case, since that didn't work, I'm going to use all my movement to run up to him.
Okay. So you are on the wagon, so you
Hop
jump
off.
down,
Yeah.
poof, and you kind of land between him and Sebastian.
Great.
That wizard is going to actually rush toward the wagon, and he's going to use his action to dash. So he gets inside the wagon.
Come on,
as he kind of runs to the back of it. Actually, the wagon. It's kind of an open, like those classical like wagons.
Are the wagons still moving?
The horses have kind of stopped, but they're kind of freaking out because of the battle.
Okay.
So they're not like, full force. You actually kind of see the man that's steering them kind of keeping the horses
Trying to
contained
keep them steady.
without rushing and
Again.
spilling everything.
About 18 seconds has passed.
Right.
So
Everything has happened incredibly fast. So he actually rushes. Yeah, that wizard rushes to the back of the wagon and leaps inside.
Okay.
This one that was rushing towards Sebastian and that has resisted your spell sees you now, and he's going to rush towards you, and he has a short sword as well, and he's going to take a strike at you.
Great.
Oh, man, that's going to be an 11. I'm rolling pretty bad right now.
Wow.
As you're a fighter, you know battles.
Yep.
And this has been an ambush, and you are mentally
Adrenaline's kicking in.
Yeah, you're mentally focused right now as he rushes towards you. He's not able to get through your armor or your shield.
Sweet.
That ends their turn. It's Kato.
It's Kanto.
Kanto, I'm sorry. Kanto.
It's a region of Japan, Jake. Kanto.
Kanto.
Yeah.
I forgot the N. I apologize. All right.
Kanto is going to... Oh, boy. I think he's just gonna kind of do same thing. He's gonna kind of pull a Yui and fly back towards and try and run another distraction run on the guy that I am now standing between him and Sebastian.
Great. So you will have advantage on your next attacks. For sure. Okay. Top of the round is actually going to be your turn.
Okay.
As Kanto has just flown in front of the face and he's kind of winced at it and kind of glances up. You kind of see an opportunity as his guard got dropped for a few milliseconds.
Yeah, I'm going to hit that guy with a long sword attack, hopefully. Good. It's another 11. Ooh, and a 17 plus 6. I'm pretty sure that hits.
Yeah, that definitely is going to hit.
Okay, so that's a D8 plus 4. Nice. That's 7, 11 damage.
Nice.
7 plus 4.
Great. Yeah, another one falls to your blade as you kind of see that moment of distraction and you kind of stab him kind of into the side and kind of thrust sideways and kind of... I don't know how... Like, man, I'm so used to getting into battles and like really describing stuff, and I'm like, what is too far?
Just think of Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. Okay, you stab him in the side, thrust sideways, and the internal stuff splashes onto the wagon.
Do you mean blood, Jake? Do you mean blood? The internal stuff that all people have?
Yes, that's what I mean.
We're rated PG-13 here, folks.
Yeah. Which means we have one F word to use. Kurtis, use it wisely.
All right, I'll just... Okay.
Now
great.
it's done. Well, it was bleep, though.
That was a joke.
I know, I'm kidding.
Was a joke.
Oh, he's pulling out some snacks.
Yeah,
Classic D&D player. Perfect. So, another one falls to your blade as you stab him in the side. Blood hits the wagon. That ends your turn. Inside, you kind of hear...
Wait. Can I...
Oh, of course.
Move?
Of course you can.
I'm going to move back towards the wagon. Try and get around to the side of it so I can see up where that wizard was.
Great. You do so, and you kind of step around, and you see that wizard in there grabbing what looks to be a beautiful chest. It's wooden made. It almost seems to be made of kind of pretty solid oak, lined with gold.
That's what we like to call a goober.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. I'm going to write that down. The chest is now a goober. You kind of see him pick it up in the process of picking it up anyway. Is that in your turn?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. It is his turn, and you kind of see him for a second. He locks eyes with you, and suddenly he vanishes for a split second.
Oh.
And you kind of glance around like, where did he go? And you look off to your left, and you see about 30 feet. He has appeared kind of where he originally was. And he kind of turns and starts running into the wood.
Oh, gosh.
So he is currently 60 feet from you. All right.
Goodness gracious.
That will end his turn. Oh, actually, Misty Step is a bonus action. So he is currently 90 feet from you.
Mm-hmm. It
As
wasn't
he uses
an
his action to
or
dash.
anything to pull out the chest and hold on to it. I'm just
I can make it. It's like half of his movement to pick up the chest. All right. So he's currently about 90 feet from you.
Okay.
And battle is raging all around you. What are you doing? Actually, it is Kento's turn.
Oh, right, the bird.
Yeah.
Let me see how much movement Kanto's got. He's got 60 feet of flying speed.
Nice. Speedy little bird.
Kanto's gonna move his full 60 feet and then action dash towards and past the wizard, and just kind of like take a long arc as if he's gonna come back towards him. So now the wizard is now in between me and Kanto.
Gotcha. Perfect. Okay. With that, it is your turn. You kind of look around you with the battle kind of happening only within, obviously, like you said, within a few seconds. It's been maybe 30 seconds as all this chaos is kind of happening. For the most part, no more villains seem to be coming out of the woods. Sebastian is kind of leaning against the wagon as he's kind of holding this bolt in his arm, and he kind of shouts at you, "Get him! We can't let that get away!" Isabella is behind you. She seems to be in combat with two other individuals. They almost seem to be maybe trying to distract from that wizard of what he did.
More playing to just keep them busy than necessarily kill.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
But
all right. Then in that case, I can't get close enough to do another lightning lure. So I'm going to run my 30 feet after the wizard.
Okay.
So I'm now 60 feet away from him.
Great.
And I'm going to pull one out of his playbook and cast a firebolt at him.
Nice. Go for it.
It's my other cantrip there. Okay, so that's going to be an attack roll plus 5. That's a 5 plus 5.
Ooh, for a 10. That's going to just barely miss, actually. He's not a very armored wizard, but however, he kind of moves in and out of trees as he's now kind of in the wood at this point, and your firebolt strikes a tree and kind of glances off.
Man.
Unfortunate, but it is his turn. Oh no, you've moved your 30 feet. You used your
30
action.
feet action. Yeah, I'm good. That's it.
Okay, it's his turn, and he's going to keep running
Okay,
further into the wood.
another full 60 feet.
Yes.
Or is he halved because the chest is heavy, or is he not?
I'm gonna, I will leave that up to the dice.
Is it small, or is it
he
like
is not a
real
very
big?
strong. It's on the bigger side. You don't really know what's inside of it, but the chest itself is on the heavier side. So I'm gonna leave this up to a dice roll.
Got it.
I'm going to. He has a strength of 8, which means he has a -1 to the modifier for the dice. So I'm gonna leave that up to dice. If he gets a 12, then he is okay. 12 or higher, he is okay. If it's lower, he's gonna be at half speed.
Okay.
I rolled a 12. -1 is 11. So he's half speed.
Okay. We can work with this.
So he moved 30 feet because his speed is 30, halved with the action.
So he's back to another 90 feet away.
Yes. So he's actually like almost right on top of your bird.
Got it.
Kanto. All right. That ends his turn. What are you doing? What's your bird doing?
Kanto at this point is going to do a flyby. He's going to definitely use another help action on the guy.
Okay.
Try and distract him for a moment. And then immediately afterwards, I'm going to run because I'm next after Kanto.
Yes.
So immediately after that, I'm going to run another 30 feet and just launch another firebolt at him.
Okay. 60 feet
With advantage
away.
this time.
Yes.
Ooh, that's much better. Okay, that's an 18 plus 5.
Yeah, that is going to hit.
For sure. Okay, so that's a firebolt is a D10 fire damage. Come on, big money. 5, right in the middle.
Great. Okay.
5 fire damage.
You strike him kind of in the lower back as he kind of lets out a cry, and You can kind of see the scorch marks on his robes, and it almost seems to try and start catch fire a little bit on the back.
And then I'm gonna, after that's done, I'm just gonna yell out at him. Is he older, younger? Can I tell?
What's your passive perception?
Ooh, that's a good question. It is, well, let me see. It is
while
12.
he's looking that up, passive perception is kind of what your character notices when they're not necessarily paying attention
Passively,
to anything
you might
specific.
say.
Exactly.
It's a 12. So
12.
not super high.
Okay, you notice that he had kind of a scraggly beard, leading you to believe he could be on the younger side. But
Okay.
So not old, but not a child by any means.
Kobe, being in his mid to late 30s, is going to, as he's rushing after this guy, he's going to yell out, "Drop it, kid, before I blast you again."
Okay. I would like you to roll me an intimidation check.
Fantastic.
A charisma intimidation check.
So I am proficient, but my charisma is my dump stat. So I only have a +1 in that.
4. He doesn't seem to really pay attention to you.
Okay.
As he seems to be maybe just frantically running away at this point.
Got it. Running for his life.
He's running for his life.
Oh boy. Okay. That's it
all
for
right.
me.
Great. It's his turn, and he's gonna keep on running. So he's back at 90 feet away, and you're getting further and further into the wood. The sounds of battle are leaving you. So here's what I'm actually going to do at this point. Kento does have a turn. Are you going to do anything with him first before we get to the top of the round?
Kanto, I'm gonna make it known to Kanto that he needs to follow this guy.
Okay. Great.
That's pretty much. He's just gonna try and follow him. Not necessarily move at him or help again, but just follow him as far as he can.
Okay. So what I'm going to do now is
Just in
enter
case he loses
into what's called a skill challenge or skill encounter, which we've kind of entered into a chase scene, is kind of what I'm going to turn this into at this point.
Got it.
You can keep firing bolts at him, but I'm going to say you're kind of deep into the wood now, so it's pretty difficult to just be attacking him constantly.
He's kind of darting between trees.
Right.
And things.
He's zigging and zagging, sliding under fallen tree trunks, the whole 9 yards.
Like a wrong toy at Albuquerque.
Exactly. Kento is doing a fabulous job weaving in and out, keeping an eye on him. So for sure he's not getting away. He can't really hide.
Okay.
So skill encounter essentially is where I kind of leave it to Kurtis on what he's going to do, and then I'm going to kind of go from there with kind of what he does, using the skills that he has, and he kind of tells me how he would like to do it.
I think, first thing I'm going to do is just, at this point, if he's just running, I'm going to put my sword and shield away.
Gotcha.
So I can just kind of more readily chase through the thicker woods.
Perfect.
And I'm going to try and make like an arc. So I come out and around to the left of him and just chase after him. Since I know Kanto's got eyes on him, I'm going to try and kind of weave around to his left and rush through that way while trying, if I can, like if he keeps glancing over his shoulder for me, make it seem like he may have lost me.
Great. Okay. So I'm going to let you use, I'll leave this up to you. You can choose. You can either give me a athletics checks, because at this point you're trying to get in front of him, kind of glancing off to the side and getting in front of him. So kind of putting your all into running, or a stealth check, where you're kind of moving a little bit more light-footed. It's kind of up to you. I'll let that be up to you. Just let me know which one you choose.
Oh my gosh. I'm not great at stealth, and especially because I'm wearing chainmail, which is heavy, and
that would be a
makes a lot of
disadvantage.
clinking, it would be a disadvantage.
Mhm.
So I'm going to make athletics check because I'm actually pretty darn decent at those.
Okay.
So let me roll that. That, my friends, is our first natural one of the program.
Ooh, natural 1.
That means the number on the die is a 1. As bad as it gets.
So, unfortunately, kind of trying
It
to...
is plus 6.
Yeah, it is plus 6.
So it's a 7.
You know, it is an automatical failure. So you kind of put your all into running, and you're kind of glancing off to the side, and he kind of actually notices that, and he starts veering to the right, kind of pushing that distance between you. Now, he is still at half speed.
Okay.
So, I mean, you weren't actually very far off from the DC that I have set, but it still is lower.
Okay.
And he kind of manages to duck into a ravine that has come up. And he's kind of starting to move down, and he kind of gets to that bottom of the ravine and move up. And you rush up to it, and you didn't see it quick enough. And you come up to it and try to stop, and you kind of slide down instead of doing your full just rush down and keep chasing him. So he got a little bit ahead of you.
Okay.
So that is unfortunately a failure.
Woof. Okay.
But you are still chasing him. You still have eyes on him.
Okay. I think what I'm going to do next. My next goal is to run as fast as I can and try and get at least within 15 feet of him
Okay.
and cast a spell.
Okay. I'm going to say you are able to get up to that point because he is at half speed. So you use all your momentum. You push through it. You get within 15 feet, I'm going to say.
Okay. Now, you might think you know what's coming.
Do I?
I'm not casting Lightning Lure. Instead,
You got me.
I'm going to cast Thunder Wave.
Oof. Okay.
So, Thunder Wave creates a wave of thunderous force, and any creature within 15 feet of me has to make a Constitution saving throw.
And he is kind of a soft boy. He doesn't have the best con.
If they get a 12 or lower, they fail, and they are pushed, but also take 2d8 thunder damage. And on a successful save, which is 13 or higher, they still take half of that,
Okay.
but are not pushed.
Oh, I rolled a 7, and he has a 10 in Constitution, which means he has a +0. So that is a failure, good sir.
Okay, so he's going to take a full 7 thunder damage,
Okay.
and get pushed. And what I'm kind of hoping happens here is that the fact that we are like surrounded by trees and stuff is that even though I'm pushing him further away from me, his trajectory might lead him into a tree and
Into a
knock
tree.
him off balance.
Yeah. I'm going to leave that up to a percentile die because we never really get to use this. And this is the part of the show that there technically isn't a rule for this in Dungeons
Right.
and Dragons.
It's like you decide whether it does that or not.
Right. Exactly. And I love leaving it up to the dice. A lot of people will leave it up to a D20 roll. Maybe they'll say, hey, if you roll a 10 or higher, it's true.
Or
I'm going to leave this
a
up
dex
to
save or something like that.
exactly a percentile die, which we have in the set that comes with it. We have what looks like 2d10s, but one has zeros along with the numbers. So what I'm going to need from you, Kurtis, is there's a lot of trees here. I'm going to give this a 60% chance of him hitting a tree.
So do I need to roll below 60% or above 60%?
I'm going to say above. You need to get a 60 or higher. Or no, a
No,
40
so,
or
yeah,
higher.
40 or higher.
Yes.
Got it.
Math. Yes, a 40 or higher on the percentile dice. Here we go.
Wow, that's the hardest possible thing.
Yeah,
Wow.
of course, because we're recording.
That is a 9.
Wow.
I rolled double O's and a 9.
Oof. So unfortunately, he doesn't hit a tree as he just manages to neglect it. That's hilarious.
Couldn't have been below.
Right. It couldn't have been below, right? I'm sorry, bro.
Wait. Oh, I had to roll a 40 or higher.
A 40 or higher.
Got it. Woof.
So,
terrible.
man, you should have been a cleric. No, I'm just
yeah, right?
like a level 13 cleric or something.
And 9. That never happens.
Okay. So, unfortunately, he doesn't hit a tree, but he does take full force of that damage as he skids on the forest floor. Leaves and foliage go everywhere, and the chest actually goes flying, and it crashes open. It hits a rock and crashes open. And spilling out doesn't seem to be anything too spectacular from the distance that you're in, but 2 glimmering things rolled out of the chest and kind of hit the forest floor.
Okay.
The wizard is still conscious,
Okay.
but he is prone. I'm going to actually go to back to initiative at this point.
Okay. Do you want me to roll again?
Yes,
All right, here we go.
as we're new things.
Ooh, hey. What'd you get?
I got a 15.
I got a 17.
Nice. So
16,
you go first.
16 plus 1.
So let's see. He was 15 feet from you, and he got pushed 15 feet, correct? According to that spell?
According to the spell, he gets pushed 10.
Feet 10. So I'm going to say he is 10 feet away from the chest, and you are 35 feet away from the chest.
Great. And he's 25 feet away from me?
Yes.
Let me just double check that. Yeah, push 10 feet away.
Great.
Okay. Whoa. Okay. Why did I just say whoa?
Whoa.
I was going to say
Wow.
woof, but then I didn't want to sound like a dog. And then the chest is 35 feet away.
Mm-hmm. I will say
if
he does not look healthy. He looks like he's taken some hits.
I'm going to run over to him first.
You can do so.
I'm going to try and use my foot to kick and kind of push him over and get on top of him and hold him down.
Okay. I will leave this up to a grapple. So what that means is I need to roll athletics or acrobatics, and Kurtis gets to roll athletics.
Just try and beat me.
Oh, I got a 13. 12 plus 1.
I got a 25.
Yeah. Easily done. In fact, he looks a little bit reeling from that hit that he just took. He didn't hit a tree, but maybe he hit a rock on the way down or an old stump.
Okay.
And he still seems to, like, you get on top of him and pin him to the forest floor. And he doesn't seem to really focus on you, as he might be a little concussed.
Can I just glance over at those things now that I'm a little closer and try to determine what they
you
really
see
are?
a beautiful gem, an Alexandrite gemstone, which is beautifully cut. It is a greenish, purplish gem. And then next to it seems to be a teapot of sorts, but it's thinner, and the spout seems to go a little bit longer, and it's a very, very nice gold lined with diamonds.
Woof. Okay, I'm gonna look down at him and try and kind of pull on his collar and lift him towards me, and I'm gonna say, "What are those things? Why were you taking them? Who are you?"
They stole it from me in the first place. The research site was mine. They kicked me out.
What were you researching?
That place, it's full of things that can make one very powerful. Those are mine.
What are they?
He doesn't seem to answer you at that point.
I stand up and try and lift him up by his collar up to face, and shake him a slight bit and say, "What are they?
Go ahead and give me an intimidation check.
Can I use strength this time?
Um,
It's a variant rule, Jake. Come on.
No, I thought that was a class thing. Isn't there a fighting class or a barbarian class that allows that? I think it's a barbarian thing.
Is
but
it?
I thought it was, but I think
it was
it's
just a variant rule.
I don't remember. But you know what?
It doesn't matter. It's up to you.
Okay. Now I'm gonna go ahead and leave this traditional rules with your charisma.
Hey, that's a natural 18 plus 1 for 19.
Nice. He seems to pee himself a little bit as you pick him straight off out of the forest.
Poor guy.
As he's kind of realizing what's going on. In fact, he wasn't focusing. He was just talking. And all right. The gem. I don't know if you know much about him, but they're said to grant one luck. Very, very good luck.
Okay.
And I didn't know there was the lamp in there, honestly. That's new.
Huh. All right. I'm going to I'm just going to drop him.
Okay.
And kind of
he lands on the forest floor.
Just give him a hearty elbow. Try and knock him out.
Okay. Go ahead and roll an attack with advantage because he doesn't seem to really be resisting at this point.
He's also prone.
Good point.
That's a 12.
That's just above his AC. His AC was 11, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. What's your strength?
Five damage.
5 damage. It's close enough. He would be at 3 hit points, but I'm gonna say you could easily do it again, and knock him out.
Yeah. Next one would have hit too.
Yeah. So you elbow him straight in the side, poof, and lights out for him as he kind of goes loose in your grasp.
Kanto's gonna come land on my shoulder. Wow, good Foley. And then I'm gonna walk over to the items. I'm gonna pick up the Alexandrite.
Okay.
Put it back in the chest.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna look at the lamp. He said, is what he said.
Mm-hmm. It looks to be.
Before I touch it, I want to try and, because I am a little bit knowledgeable in magical things.
Okay.
Being a caster, I'm gonna try and.
Are you proficient?
I am proficient in Arcana.
Great.
So I'm gonna try and give it a once over, just to make sure touching it might not be dangerous.
100%. Go ahead and roll an Arcana check, an Intelligence Arcana check.
Okay. That is a 16.
Nice. So first and foremost, an Alexandrite gemstone that you just put into your bag, pretty much known to give luck. If you were to attune to that, you would have the lucky feet. And then this thing that you kind of glance down on the forest floor, kind of laying there, beautiful gold. It seems to have just been polished. Like it has a shine. It doesn't even seem to be really affected by it sliding on the kind of the mud of the forest. It doesn't really, no leaves seem to be sticking to it. And the diamonds kind of run all along the handle and kind of go along the rim and then a little bit onto the stem. This is a genie lamp.
Oh. Wow. Hoo boy. Goodness. Who am I working for again?
So you're working, no one in particular. You're kind of working for the kingdom.
I'm a guardsman, essentially.
You're a guardsman. You were assigned
and so I
by
was
a bunch of researchers
to be guarding this caravan, not hired or anything.
You were pulling guard shifts at the excavation site. And you were on one of the rosters that said, okay, you're going to head with the caravan to take a bunch of artifacts back to the city.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick up that lamp.
You pick up that lamp. A whirlwind seems to go around you, picking up all the leaves as you pick it up. It's kind of that moment in Lord of the Rings when Frodo sees ring wraiths coming.
Yeah.
And the leaves kind of scatter around him.
And the woods just kind of like extend out away from him.
Oh, yeah. You hear a voice come into your head, very wispy. Doesn't really seem to have a solid form to it. It's kind of like a whisper, but strong, and it kind of says, "It's been so long. Who are you?"
I am Kobe Shadebinder. Who are you?
Kobe Shadebinder. What a pleasure. My name is Yasefasio.
What a name.
I am an air genie, and I have been in this lamp for oh so long. If you let me go, I will grant you one wish.
That sounds like a pretty good deal, but what'll you do when you're out?
I miss my family so much.
Got a wife and kids waiting back home?
I do not know what you speak of.
Yeah, I mean, helping out a trapped guy sounds like something a guard does, right?
Repeat the words after me.
Okay.
Yeah, but he says something in a language that you don't really.
Is it Goblin?
Well, it's not Goblin.
I speak Goblin.
Okay, it's primordial.
Okay.
But you have a pretty to you it's kind of gibberish. Yeah. I really tried to keep a straight face. Go ahead and give me an intelligence check. Just roll a d20 and add your intelligence modifier to it.
Come on!
What did you get? A 1?
Again? A 1 plus intelligence is a 4.
He says, "That is not the correct pronunciation.
I'm so sorry. I don't.
Let me in and I can help you.
Pardon?
Let me in and I can help you.
I thought I was letting you out.
It's much easier if you just let me."
Do I still get my...
Yes. Leaving up to a dice roll.
Okay. That was another 1, folks.
Your fingers that is holding the lamp begin to tingle a little bit, and just kind of a third-person perspective here. Your eyes go white. You just see third-person view. Your eyes are white, but for you, Kobe, it's just pitch darkness. And you hear the words correctly come out of your mouth. And then you come back into yourself, and you're holding the lamp. But you're not in the forest anymore. You're in a room. Like a palace. Marble pillars go from the floor to the ceiling. It seems to be 100+ high roof. It is a marble floor, jewels all along. It's a beautiful place. Fabrics hanging from the ceiling, from the pillars. Beautiful furniture. It's about. Looks like the comfiest furniture you have ever seen in your life. And sitting on the couch is what looks to be a man. Very, very pointed beard. Kind of the handlebar mustache that goes into the curls. He's wearing spectacles. Simple but beautiful garments. Purple is kind of the shirt that he's wearing, and then these white pants. Thank you. I was honestly expecting you to say no. I was very fortunate to find you.
What is where? Who? Alright, I'm gonna start from the top. Where am I?
Well, right now you're in my home that I have been in for... I honestly have no idea. I was trapped here a long time ago, you see. Well, he was a brother. I don't know. I think he was. Maybe a cousin, sister?
It's kind of a nice place.
Oh, well, yeah. There's fruits, drinks. Please partake. And they weren't there a second ago, but when he kind of waves his hand, suddenly they kind of appear.
I'll step over and pluck a grape off of a vine and kind of chew on it.
Chew? The initial taste, you don't taste anything. It's kind of a little disappointing. You kind of get like 2 chews in and you look at him, and then suddenly you are overwhelmed with flavor. Like, it doesn't even taste like a grape. It's just like beautiful, like the best flavors known to man is what hits your palate.
So, Mountain Dew?
Yes, 100%. It's just Mountain Dew and a grape.
Mountain Dew grape. I gotta look at him. I cock my head to one side a bit, and I nod, and I say, "Okay, then. So we're in that lamp thing now?"
Yes. Does it look like a lamp from the outside?
Sort like a short, long, shiny teapot.
That, I guess, makes sense. Right. Well, to the point, I suppose. You are welcome to sit if you'd like. There is a little bit more to the bargain, and I will fulfill my end. I will grant you your wish. But we kind of need to trade places. You'll be in here for a while, and then when you get out, your wish will be granted. You get to sit in here. Beautiful things will happen to you. Riches, whatever it is that your heart's desire, books, whoever you want to be in here with you will magically appear. You won't be alone. It'll actually be probably the best years of your life. And then eventually, when you get out, you'll have your wish granted.
So I don't get the wish until someone decides to come let me out.
Well, it's a little bit more based on me. But, yeah, when essentially that happens.
Wait, so I have to wait until you're willing to come back in?
Yes.
So we're tethered to this place together, if I accept. If I'm in, you're out. If you're out, I'm in.
Well, yeah, that's actually kind of how it goes.
Huh.
You're smarter than you look.
Yeah.
For someone that said yes to get in this position, you are smarter than I expected.
Well, I rolled a natural 1, so...
I don't know what that means.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and guess that I can't back out now.
I would be very angry if you did.
How long do you think you're gonna be?
What is time? Am I right?
I mean, obviously you're sick of this place.
I kind of want to see what it's like out there for a while. And then when I'm done, I'll come back.
How about this? How about we really make it a deal?
Okay. I like where this is going.
How about I'll keep the lamp. I'll keep you around. We'll really be tethered. Anytime you feel like coming out, you let me know. I'll let you come out. you keep the lamp with you. Anytime I feel like I need to come out, you'll let me out.
I like this.
We'll be in it together. That way neither of us has to suffer the worst of the consequences.
Oh, I like you. Kurtis, I would like you to roll a persuasion check. Bum 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 bum.
Oh, God. I'm not super great at those.
I know, but this is what the game is.
Jake,
Yeah?
off the record,
Yeah?
if I roll anything below a 10, I'm just going to say it's a natural 20, okay? So that we can end on a high note.
Done.
That's a natural 20, Jake.
No way. What?
It's a 6, but he doesn't.
Oh, boy. Oh man, I kind of was hoping it would be good. I'm not gonna lie, because that was really good. But I had to leave it up to a die roll because that's the game.
Wait, can I have advantage? Because he likes me.
You know what? I will grant that because he is very interested in this.
He's intrigued. Let's go.
Is that a 4?
No, that's a. Well, the last one was a 6. That's an 8. -1. So a 7.
You know, I kind of want to.
9. It's going up.
It's going up.
15.
But
17.
however,
No.
the outcome of the story we might leave up to the imagination of the fans because this was really just a demonstration of what is to be. What happened to Kobe?
Hey,
I don't know.
you know what I think happened?
What happened?
Kobe started taking levels of Warlock, and now he's a Jin Warlock.
I think that would be super dope.
If we were in a real game and Kobe was like a player of mine, that's exactly what I would do.
I was
That would
actually
be so
thinking that
much
would be
fun.
so much fun. This could be a great backstory for a future Kobe.
That's not a bad idea, actually.
So one day, if you ever play a fighter that wants to multi-class into a warlock,
He does have terrible charisma, though, so that might be a bad idea.
okay, you might have to rework it, but that might be really fun. So I know this actually has gone a little bit longer than we expected, but I kind of expected it to be kind
Hour
of
and a half for
longer.
a one shot is
Yeah,
not bad.
That's not bad at
honestly.
all. Some of you might be a little disappointed that I didn't really come to an end with that, but he really liked that deal.
I thought it was pretty brilliant.
I think he probably took it, honestly. I think
I thought it was brilliant.
I mean, he's a master of not a master, maybe an agent of chaos. He was a little bit on the chaotic side. Maybe he would like that.
Chaos.
But I hope that was fun. I hope that was a pleasure listening to. Maybe we'll do
Jake,
more of these in the future.
Jake.
Honestly, I think it was fun.
You are always a pleasure to listen to.
Hey, it's right back at you, buddy.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening to the. Whoa, crap! This is going to be hard. I have to remember our name. Thank you for listening to Backyard Tabletop. I have been one of your hosts, Jake.
I have been the other host, Kurtis, the guy who was fixing his mic.
This comes back around. We'll catch you guys in the next episode. So long.
Goodbye.
That was fun, man. That was fun.